Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for Women Wednesdays. Super excited to have our guest today, Deanna Mimms, correct? Did I get that correct?
It's actually Dina, but that's okay. That's my normal introduction. Looks just like that, so that's fine.
And I wasn't even supposed to do the introduction. I like this, so that's okay. But we're super excited to have you here today because I think a lot of people are excited to talk a little bit with you on what we're going to be discussing and interacting with us. So make sure that you share your comments, share your posts here in the comments. Let us know you're watching, where you're joining us from. And then also make sure you share this post on your Facebook page so we can get more people involved in the conversation today. So let's go ahead and send it over to our founder, Barbara Westcott. Hey, Barbara.
Yeah, well, hello, everybody. Barbara Westcott, I'm the founder of Women Wednesdays. And so what's Women Wednesdays? It's a collaborative community of women who help each other succeed. So, that's part of Dina being here with us today. I know that screen's right up there. She's going to be a part of, building that collaborative community. But that's what Women Wednesdays is. And if you want to be a part of it, just join us at womenwednesdays.com. So I just want to give a little insight on a few things that are coming up. And Chrissy, if you can go to the next slide. And there we are again, number one city for women. We're doing our number one city for women campaign. But what I really want to let people know that's coming up is on November 3rd, we're going to have the ladies, the two investigative police officers that were the inspiration for the Netflix series Unbelievable. So we just want to give people a heads up to start watching that series. It's amazing. So Chris, if you can hop to that next slide.
Well, I want to mention that I started watching it this morning because I knew I had to do my homework and never start a Netflix program in the morning because you'll just get sucked in.
Yeah, no, but it's a really, really powerful story. I mean, it involves sexual assault. But how sexual assault victims are treated as women, but also some of the challenges for police who are investigating those things and how collaboration was really a big part. And if you just click to that next slide, Chrissy, then people can see this is going to be the event Stopping a Serial Rapist through the power of collaboration. And these women are amazing what they accomplished. So just start watching that series. It truly, truly is amazing. So
congratulations. That's a coup.
Yeah, no, it's an honor. Yeah. I mean, these ladies really, did something incredible. And I think the fact that it's showing up in a Netflix series tells you that. And it's our honor to be able to have them on Women Wednesdays. Right. So I'm going to let Tamar take over from here, but then I have a few words about our speaker. So Tamar, you take it away.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. I'm excited. As you can see, next week, Wednesday. Oh, you know what? I didn't introduce myself. My name's Tamara Smith. I'm the Regional Director of Partnerships here in the North Florida region for One More Child. We are in the middle of our journey to 1 million meals, and we're doing that because our mission is to support vulnerable children and struggling families. That's what we want to do. And if you want to partner with us, you can find out more at onemorechild.org. Right now, like I said, we're in the middle of a journey to 1 million meals. And everyone, I mean, if you have already given or participated in some way, even just by sharing, thank you so much. We are so close to meeting that goal and hopefully surpassing it this week. And that is putting warm food in lots of bellies. So thank you. Thank you for that. And you can find out more again at onemorechild.org. But as you can see, next week, we are getting ready for an amazing, really exciting event. Women in Entrepreneurship Week is next week, and we are going to be a part of Wednesday's event. And look at this panel.
Yeah. Let me jump in and say that. So hopefully people have heard that the Jim Moran College has started a program called the Women in Entrepreneurship. So why did they do that? Part of the reason they did that is because the women of this community are so amazing and fastest growing group of entrepreneurs. So this is an opportunity to celebrate Women in Entrepreneurship Week. It's going to be held in person at the Jim Moran College. That's the facility located at 111 South Monroe Street. And you really want to be there. So try to get out and enjoy that time with everybody. And the goal is to really connect our college women entrepreneurs and our community entrepreneurs. We're stronger together, build diverse teams. So it's going to be a great event. So we look forward to that. And who is going to be the moderator of that event, I ask you?
Oh, that would be me.
That would be you. You and Verlonda
That would be
Johnson.
me and Verlonda Johnson, our speaker series coordinator. So we are excited that we're going to be there next week. Join us there, but it isn't a hybrid event. So make sure you check Women Wednesdays here, on Facebook or wherever you can follow us to get more information on how to be a part of that. I also want to take a moment, if I can, ladies of Women Wednesdays, to say happy Hispanic Heritage Month, or if you call it Latina Heritage Month or Latinx Heritage Month, however you celebrate it. I just want to say happy celebrations to all of my fellow people of Hispanic descent or from those countries. I come from a Cuban father, very proud Cuban American and first generation American, and I know what it takes for our families to come here to just establish themselves and start a legacy. I'm happy to be a part of that. I am not Spanish speaking. I'm little Spanish understanding, but
I think I took like Spanish courses all throughout high school and college.
Yes. Yes.
Can you speak it now? I can't. I had 4 years.
I aced those because I knew enough to do that. But so I probably shouldn't have taken Spanish. I should have taken another language. But again, I just want to say thank you for all of you that are doing things to celebrate and recognize and bring awareness to the contributions, to the struggles, to the triumphs of this group of people here in the United States and all around the world. We look like many different shades, and we come from many different backgrounds. So happy to celebrate that. I know that I kind of threw that in there, but I really wanted to do that.
I'm so glad you did.
Yes, but we are getting ready to now, finally, for those of you that joined and said, where is Deanna? She's right here. And we're getting ready to talk to Deanna Mimms, founder of Make It Done.
Mark it done, because that's what we need to do today. Read the description for this event. I was like, ooh, I'm going to try not to cry on camera. So I'm going to take a deep breath and let Deanna take over. Deanna, tell us a little.
Well, I'm not going to cry,
well.
but I do have tissues nearby just in case. So when Barbara and I talked about doing this, I was in a place where I didn't feel like I had a lot to offer. We started to do it last year and that didn't happen. And again, I felt like I wasn't in a place where I had a lot to offer. So when she's stressed, I mean, you guys have such quality content, and when she's stressed, that she wants it to be very authentic and very connecting and very much what's going on with other women. I had an experience recently that made me feel like it would be appropriate to talk about here. So that's where we got the title. I'm going to slide number 2. So Barbara Westcott has given a lot of people a lot of opportunities, and I just thank you for what you do in the entrepreneurial lives of women and in all the opportunities you birth. You are super energetic manifestation of seeing something that needs to happen and making it happen, and I'm proud to know you.
Well, that means a lot coming from you, because I wanted to say a lot of people think the entrepreneurial community in Tallahassee started with the formation of DOMI, but it actually started way before that, and it was people like Deanna. So I remember the first time I met you was going to a startup weekend. I don't know if you remember that, but you all
Yes, I do.
Yeah, that was startup weekend, and I mean that was probably like I don't know if it was 2014 or whatever it was. It was a long time ago. But you were there and a bunch of other people, and there was even talking of making silicon tally, and it's just a really cool group of people that really spearheaded getting a startup ecosystem going here in Tallahassee. And you above all, Deanna, like when I went to that, and I was truly shaking in my boots, truly so scared to present. Yeah, look at us now. But I mean, you're the person that really reached out and you stuck with me. I mean, you helped me a lot. And I'm just so appreciative to you. And I want you to know, I mean, I'm thinking the Dandy Awards. I mean, you just did one thing after the other. So when you say you weren't sure you had stuff to offer, I mean, that is just so far from the truth. You're an amazing woman, and you've been hard at work, building this ecosystem for a long, long time. And so what you have to say today and share is really valuable. So I'm really looking forward to engaging with it. So take her away. Let's jump on your discussion that you're going to make today.
Thank you. I we were joking about it before we started. It may be scary, and that's appropriate because it's Halloween. So just look at it like that.
Yes.
I'm sharing some
do it
thoughts.
anyway, even if you're scared. Yes.
Well, that's what I used to say. It used to be, I don't understand a lack of initiative, and I didn't understand it in a way that I do now. But I came from a type A mom, and I had lots of energy, and I'd started my first business and needed to make it or break it within 2 years. I was everywhere all the time. And doing things, making things happen the same way that Barbara does. I don't think I do it as elegantly as she did. I was a little lurchy, but I did want to start a lot of things, and it really gave me a great understanding and made me feel like I got what I was supposed to be doing. But this talk is kind of about coming from that place where I used to have a fairly wide presence in a lot of different activities in Tallahassee. And then I had experiences of anxiety and depression and life rewrites and shutting down and coming back up. So that's what we're going to touch on. And I'll go pretty fast, but I absolutely want to hear from folks. So if you'll advance the slide. Languishing is a term that the New York Times came up with describing the aftermath of personal and financial and career major upturn. We've had a big shock, and we're not feeling ourselves anymore for some of us. And the world didn't look the same to me anymore. That was my experience. And the reason I'm talking about it today, and this cluster of topics, is after sitting home for a year and a half, very busy doing things, but feeling really resentful. And I had my lips stuck out because nobody was calling me to do stuff. And I know that, but we've got the mask protocol down and the hand sanitizer. So why aren't we going to lunch? Why aren't we meeting? Don't these people miss me too? Where's my whole tribe? So I'm like, okay, why don't you not whine about it and call together a group of WPN ladies who were used to meeting in person once a month for the last 7 or 8 years, Barbara. And I really miss them. So we convened at a local restaurant, and I had made everybody little dish gardens, little fairy gardens with little fairies in it and little scenes and things like that, and took it to lunch. And every one of them gave me back a gift of perspective, because we had people that fell into one camp saying, I was everywhere all the time. I've dropped out of sight. I have no contact. I don't know which way is up. I feel disconnected, and I feel disoriented, and I'm overwhelmed, and I'm anxious and sad and angry and all of those things. And then you had another group who said, we didn't know y'all were feeling that way because we're active at church, and we have our grandkids, and we're still at work. And they literally didn't have any idea that the rest of us are saying, yeah, we've been circling the drain and like white knuckling it through this time. So when I ask myself why you'd care about that is I'm imagining you fell into one of the two camps or in between, and you vacillated between the two, and it may hear somebody else to talk about the reality. So I'm going to kind of give you a quick idea of where I'm coming from to set the stage, because I'm a big believer, as is Barbara, that vulnerability is strength, especially with women, and it's how we cut to true relationship a whole lot faster. And it really affects the way we do work too. So what I wrote was, after some huge upheavals in my life the last few years, I've been in more and more of a challenging place, because that's what you're supposed to say. You're not supposed to say, I'm really depressed or life sucks or anything. You're supposed to say, yeah, I've had a few challenges. But a little challenging is not really correct. It is the right thing to put out in the universe, but it has been the shittiest, hardest, saddest, and most shocking year of my life this past year. And I've been through some stuff. And I've only been able to come back to life in the last few months. And I really gave a lot of thought to, I'm a veteran of counseling and reading and self-help and alternative theology and all of the things that we have to access that keep us buoyed. And I was having a hard time seeing even the top of the hole to know which direction to climb out. So not getting political, but for me, it started getting very acute, my disorientation in the world, with the election before last and periodic serious illnesses after that. I had a sad end to a very stuck marriage of a man and a family that I love very much, but we were just not growing together in any way. Aging, is a lot of fun. Like I said, I left off at about 38. Well, my body's really clear that I'm like 68. I'm having a lot of interesting things going on. So it's not for sissies. We'd been through 3 bouts of couples counseling over the years. I had lots of in-law issues that we weren't a great fit. I'm Southern Zen Baptist and they're Irish Catholic Northern, and it was an interesting fit. A lot of transformative experiences, a lot of painful revelations, a divorce, the blessing of repartnering, starting life back over at 52, and that means in every way. Acquiring another business, going through COVID, 2 big projects that I set up and poured a lot of press into, a lot of personal contacts, and then we had to abandon them. Depression and a PTSD diagnosis after I was cut off from seeing my favorite person, as Barbara knows. My grandchild, he lives across the street, basically, in a street down. But when my husband got a new girlfriend, she's not really keen on me having anything to do with family. So I've been cut off.
You've been through some things.
I say that because, yeah. So lots of crying and not sleeping, seeking and experiencing a variety of treatments. We're launching a major Kickstarter project. We got ripped off by 10K when the Kickstarter project group ripped everybody off the beginning of September, owned by Kevin Leary. It's called Ideas On. And then we're really blessed that the company flaked out because, boy, are we ready to be better prepared and to know how to do this on our own and to help other people. And then so I'm starting to hope again. And it's been years that I didn't do everything I needed to do to keep from being disappointed. So you get very small and you don't do a lot because any risk you take is going to hurt worse than if you didn't try it. And that's not my nature, but that's where I'd gotten to be. I'd love to hear if anybody can relate or if they have a couple of words or a sentence that describe how they felt the last 2 years, positive, negative, or if you felt like you were languishing.
I think like when I need to like tell someone how I feel, I need to say I'm languishing right now. You know what I mean? To really like encompass all the feelings. So
yeah, it's the valley. It feels like the valley.
Well, and I think what you're saying too is like, so for me, I don't feel like I languished the last few years. I mean, not to, but
no, you're that girl. That's very good.
I'm that girl, but it just somehow it just like, I feel fortunate for that, we just kind of pivoted and just, kind of went in a different direction. But I think what you're saying is exactly true. Everybody's experience with COVID and so many things that are going on. I mean, it has been a challenging period for some people. I mean, I think for a lot of people, it has been really challenging.
Yeah, I hear more extreme versions of how I feel. And I'm not surprised by that. I'm very surprised by the people that it has barely bumped along for. So it's an interesting look. And I started gathering tools about how come they were resilient. And I've been through a ton and climbed up and up and up again before. Why was I having such a hard time? Tamara, do you have any thoughts about kind of where you've been that you feel comfortable sharing?
Sure. I will say that I think I've had a challenging year. And it's funny when you said challenging, because that is literally the word that I use so that I don't have to go into the nitty gritty of what I was going through. But I think when I saw Languishing and I said, oh no, I don't want to cry today. But when I saw Languishing, I thought of what I've gone through this year with my pregnancy, because it's a very strange feeling to be excited about a pregnancy, but also be going through a very serious condition. Mine was hyperemesis gravidarum. And it was hard to describe to people. They would go, oh my goodness, you're pregnant. And there were times during that pregnancy where I was like, oh my goodness, I'm pregnant.
And you were very, very, hospitalized.
Mm-hmm.
You were in the hospital a long time, and that really was very challenging.
And you were in the hospital during COVID with all the activity around COVID? Oh, I'm so sorry.
Absolutely. So, I think that the period of time, there was some languishing within there because I was still working full time, but I wasn't able to do my job to the capacity that I would like. I was satisfying my organization and they were very supportive, but that is a part of my identity, just being the wife and the mom that I want to be. And, once the pregnancy was over and the beautiful birth of my daughter happened, there was an expectation that everything would just be back to normal. Like, you're happy now, you're great. But that period of time between then and now, I do believe that there has been some languishing, just trying to figure out, how do I move forward? I don't feel like the same person because of a new trauma that I've been through. I'm blessed at the end of it, but it's kind of, I guess when I saw that term, I think it's that kind of back and forth. You're not really sure where to go with how you're feeling and how to accomplish the things that you want to do outside of what you've just been through.
Right. So, and if your hands are it's like your hands are tied behind your back. You're just like, oh, I want these things to do, but I can't do them.
You can see the way to untie the rope. You just can't do it. You're sitting there tied up and looking at a scissors. That's kind of how I describe it.
Yep. Or your hands fell off. Yes. Yeah. Chrissy, how about you? Does anything come to mind for you on what your year's been like? 2 years?
Well, I think, during this time of COVID, it's actually really shown me how resilient I can be,
Yay.
But also needing to refocus on self-care and not overwork myself.
Mm-hmm.
And though I'm happy for the blessings and happy for the partnerships and where they've taken me, there's also, time where I need to have a good, like a mental health day or, and be living my life for myself and not for others all the time.
We didn't stage this, but what you're saying goes right into what we're talking about next. Yeah.
Yeah. When I'm done, I'm done. So
well, that meant a lot of things to me. That meant a lot of things, and we'll go over them. We've got the 7 stages of grief, just if you needed a reminder how normal your reactions have been. I don't need to read it to you, but I vacillated between shock and denial from February of this year to it reached pain and guilt to depression and testing. I am now hitting the upward turn. I couldn't have said that to you pretty darn recently, but I've kind of had some epiphanies and been able to pull together a number of pieces that I'm cooking with gas. I feel much better going forward. When we talk about the reasons why, grief is really personal, and you feel your feelings in different orders and you repeat them. And it really helps if nobody is telling you what you have the right to feel, or that you're overblowing it, or it's just a so-and-so and you shouldn't be sad. Don't know if any of you have that. That's not particularly helpful, but just want to validate that wherever you are from day to day in any lingering effects or anything to come is totally normal. For anybody who's been feeling neurotic, I found a really funny description. If you're feeling neurotic, you have an evolutionary advantage because that's associated with greater sensitivity and vigilance in the presence of perceived threats. So this may be your time to shine. Barbara and I can be all type A that we want to and hypervigilant because we're doing some good with it. It's a superpower. Slide 3. So I don't need to tell you guys that women have suffered disproportionately during COVID, and not just in many health ways. Black, Latino, rural women, those work in less infection secure sectors as retail and hospitality and childcare and paid care. The people that come in and take care of my mother, we had some folks that decided they didn't want to get the shot. And I'm not getting political, but I have an 88-year-old mother to protect. And so it's just it was another alienating thing that made me feel like I don't get people at all. I don't understand it. I don't know my friends and family like I thought I did, because the family has sort of cracked into 2 sections. Those who got their shot and those who believe that Jesus will keep them from getting sick. So that's been an interesting thing. Domestic violence levels have soared and child abuse levels have soared. And that about brings me to my knees. That's the worst thing I can think of. And there's been higher levels of job loss for women because they're taking care of the kids and they're taking care of the parents. And, not anything that y'all would know about, right?
No, but I think that's exactly true, that it has been disproportionately harder for women on so many levels.
I don't even need to give y'all stats or examples. You already know what you do to hold everything together, your community, your family, your household, your kids, your friends' social lives. Yeah. So because coping is not a what you look at, it's a what you see kind of deal, because we're all looking at the same thing, but what do you bring out of it? I'd like to know what you guys feel like are some positive changes you've seen come out of it. I'll mention a few from me, but I'd like it personally from you guys. So this has been awful. and you've got to look toward what's next. Everybody talks about the new normal. I have no idea what that looks like, but I know that workplaces and healthcare and social activity are improving. The way things are structured and structured for folks with disabilities has come out of that. Men are being sort of publicly nudged in the way that Dove seems to only have the bravery to take care of more housework and do a disproportionate. They have a whole campaign about it, Dove Men's Care. And some other people have joined in with them. But I find that an interesting, fascinating, not a public shaming or anything, but just sort of a suggestion that, yeah, that's what the new normal looks like. It's not all on women. Flexible work options are being redefined. I don't know how it's changed any of y'all's life, but I'm going to take it as a good thing. And my goal is to get the rest of my ducks in a row and to do what I do while we travel. I want to be gone at least a full week a month.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to figure that out. But that's one of the things that's more available to me. And I've worked at home for 13 years. But even that, I am so much more technology able. And the fact that I can talk to you on this and I haven't messed it up, that's a big deal. That's my accomplishment during COVID.
Yeah, and I think, am I cutting you off, Deanna?
No, the last thing I was going to say is mental health issues and hygiene is being normalized. We're talking about it here, and I know that anybody can see it, and people would think that's weird. And it's still like I'm talking to a bunch of girlfriends because that's what Women Wednesdays are in terms of getting real and talking about it. So mental health needs to be normalized. PTSD is not a brain a mental health problem. It's a brain injury problem. And these things are coming out more and more, and people will feel more comfortable coming forward, and hopefully that will limit suicides. Barbara, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking, because I mean, that's so critically important what you just said. So my thing seems less important, but I want to say it anyway. And that is, for me, technology has been a godsend during this time. And, you know, for a lot of us, like once COVID hit, we just utilized technology, just totally jumped into action on a bunch of things. And I know like with Christy, but all of us, like, we were just so busy trying to find solutions, but through technology, we're just boom, 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 you know, just really trying to do so much. And I know that really saved us, but not everybody has the knowledge or access to technology, or that's not going to fill that for them. But for me, technology was just a godsend during this time.
Hey, Barbara, how do you feel about Google Docs?
Yes, I know. I was talking to, yeah, I am very passionate about Google Docs. And like,
so what she's saying is all this stuff we have access to, some of us got the chance to actually learn it, do it, and up our skill set and stay busy during COVID. I did not take care of my body during COVID like I was supposed to, but boy, I've got a lot more technical skills going. And I painted all my furniture from when I was 10 that my dad gave me. So it's grown up furniture now. Do you?
I like how Kara, she mentioned she learned how to cook.
Oh, hi, Kara.
I learned how to cook. Well, I cooked.
You already cooked. Kara, I've seen some of your cooking stuff, and I just had the impression you were an awesome cook anyway in the family.
I would say I had the opportunity to spend more time getting like down on the floor with my kids. And it's that like I became this mom that I only thought about before. Like I thought that was just for Pinterest and Instagram. I spent a lot more time just momming. That's what I would call it when I put in my Instagram stories, like momming today, mommying.
Well, you're in charge of raising a decent human being. So that's the most important, cool thing you could do. What beautiful time for you, because you would have been at work before and not able to be with the child as much.
I came off of 2019 was an extremely busy year for me, and 2020 was just really the continuation of that. The momentum built, just kind of continued, and it was awesome for career and career development. But for my kids, I felt like I was constantly on the run. So when everything shut down, I was actually starting a new position when the first shutdown happened. So shut down, flexibility started, work from home started, all the things that I probably would have never even asked for before.
Right, but like, even though I'm like, oh, technology was a godsend, la 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 la. Like, I know people who were business owners, new CEOs of a business, and in the food and service industry. I mean, it was like hell trying to keep their business going and
Yeah, but it's like
take care of their kids at home, do their education. Like, so it has been, I mean, Deanna's right. I mean, it was a very challenging period for a lot of people.
So, I think for me, sorry, the silver lining for me definitely was the fact that I didn't get sick or didn't know I got sick really bad. You know what I mean? Because just like see and hear, all these people around me and, we're just inundated with it. And because of my circumstances with my career as well, too, I was sheltered from that. Yeah. And I mean, that was amazing because, I'm one of those compromised immunities of asthma. I mean, and so for me, it was like such a wonderful thing that, I was protected in that way and my health did not. I actually feel like I'm healthier. So
I think a lot of people are paying more attention to their health in terms of you don't notice your fabulous teeth until you have a toothache, and then it's all about that, So in this case, to maintain your health through this time and to kind of keep things rolling, I feel like is success. If you're still pumping along, you're doing really well. Some of us have had a major setback, but like they say, those are things, and we're going to talk about that needed to come up to be fixed, not just during COVID, but in a period prior to that. But I certainly felt in my own life like a storm was coming, and I was very restless, and I knew something was coming down. I just didn't know what direction it was going to be. Not that I brought COVID on. I didn't do that. So the question is, what can we do about it? And some things that work for me are, I've lost family and friends. I lost work. I lost money. I lost health. I lost my friends and support system. I certainly lost my joy and my hope. I mean, it's been a bad time, but not just because of COVID, all the things that I said before. So you've heard it before, but what's going to be on your gratitude list? Because when you change your focus, everybody says, oh, look at the things that you have to be thoughtful for. And that always makes me so aggravated because I'm clear on that, but there's all these things. It really does.
By the way.
What's that?
I said, thank you for saying that. Thank you for the realness that you're bringing to.
Yeah, it's like I don't have time to record. I can name those like while I'm driving. I mean, it's like me putting on bioidentical hormone cream for stress in the car and it shot all over the ceiling. That was sort of me in a nutshell that told me I had some issues. So if you just did 7 things, you just did it in the morning, you scribbled it, you wrote it with crayon, you put it on toilet paper, whatever it took. And then that starts your day a little bit more positively and you're resentful and you feel like this is, some new age bullshit and whatever. And then you do it again at night. It softens your outlook. It makes you not feel as cynical and angry if that's where you've been. That's how I felt. And it made me not feel like everything was crowding in because I have the capacity to think of all bad things at once. It was very helpful to just hold myself to my 7 in the morning and 7 at night, and days where I wasn't having it, it was the same 7. Okay, I copied off myself. But the point is, I continued the exercise. That was a big deal. It helps you mind your gap. When you are aware that you have more support in the community or in your life or in the universe than you thought you did, and it allows you, and I'm saying this on purpose, to respond to a situation instead of react. So I'm going to put this in the category of self-awareness helps you not be the asshole in the situation, because I've certainly done my share of that the last few months being stressed out, and the common denominator was me. So invest your energy where your superpowers lie. What are your core competencies where you have a locus of control? When I stopped worrying so much about what I couldn't do and started really bearing down what I could do, that was some instant relief because I'm a doer and an accomplisher. And the end of my day, I evaluate how good the day's been by how much balance I've had in it and how much stuff I've accomplished. And I don't know that I'll ever get done with that, but now I set 2 or 3 things. I do them and I feel really great about it because I'm barely, during some of that time, I'm barely getting out of bed to do stuff. Manage your impulses and your integrity. That goes back to not being the asshole. Increase your adaptivity, and we'll talk about that, your adaptability, and tap into your initiative. There I was sitting there. I've got a pretty big Rolodex, and I'm thinking, well, how come nobody's calling me? Is everybody out eating lunch and they don't want to see me? And it was such bullshit when I realized that why am I not calling anybody? Don't wait for somebody to do what you need to do to feel better. Grab hold and make it true for other people. And I got so many thank yous for it. It really helped clear my attitude up my resentment, my anger, my feeling left out, it flipped. And they were all left kind of feeling like, yeah, this is a good idea. So then we planned it for the next month. Nobody came in October because we had the variant. So it's going to continue to be like this, but the goal is to get your kayak going downstream instead of fighting everything upstream. I'm going to see if any of these things resonate for you. When you're feeling depressed, I was asked this, determine, do I need to change my situation and get out of something because when I'm done, I'm done? Or do I need a better way to cope with it? I went through a whole lot of things to try to cope with some things. And then when I was done, I was done. And if you're feeling that way about bad health, about not keeping your weight the way you want it to be because it's your health, not because it's the size or how it looks, if you don't feel like you're doing your best with keeping up with your tribe that matters to you, maybe it's not about just quitting your job because you're sick of it. Maybe you did a different way to cope with it emotionally. And if you can't do that, let done be your catalyst toward the next part of your life, because we have taken a sharp left turn, and I don't mean that politically, a sharp left turn, almost a U-E, and then straightened out and sped off into the desert in terms of where our life is going. This is your time to make changes. You've already had a disruption and a big eruption and indicators of change, and you've got a momentum wind behind you. I am so feeling like this is this next part. And I'm not just saying that like, oh, everything's going to be good. This next part is going to be really important individually for women to carry forth how it's going to look. Barbara, do you have a thought about that?
Well, I'm kind of thinking when you say that there's life pre-COVID and life, after COVID, and what that's going to look like. And when you've had all this energy that's holding things back, maybe it's an opportunity to really spring forward with some things.
Well, a couple of people have said this has been a tremendous time and it's given me these gifts. That doesn't take away from the death and the loss we've experienced, but what can you now do with it? So there's a book called How to Not Give an F and Symbols. And
I have that book.
Yeah, I love that book. The point of the book is it's to not to about the things that don't matter and to do it about the things that are going to get you the kind of life that you're looking for. So I feel tremendous freedom. I have now adjusted my hours. We work often until 2:00 in the morning, and I don't take meetings or calls until after 10:30. That has always worked my biorhythm, but it's never been okay. It's okay now. I do really good work, and I work really well from about 2 to about 9. Those are my great hours, peak hours. So there are just some freedoms here that when all goes to hell, you can start reconstructing things the way you like. So let me push this along so I'm not.
And that's but giving yourself freedom to do those things. Like this is,
I do want to share a comment from Kara.
Yes.
Because she answered your question here. I wasn't happy before and didn't realize it until we went into lockdown. I changed everything about my life. I got married, found a new career path that I love and I'm passionate about, started new hobbies, and went to therapy.
Kara, I've noticed all of that, and we should have lunch and talk about it. But that's what I mean when enough is your catalyst for your next better life that you're holding yourself back from. I'm still very sad. I'm sad every day. Thank you.
And then I want to share this comment from Pamela really quick here before we go into the next slide. She says, great discussion and wisdom emanating from you all. We must create boundaries, as you said.
Miss Pam's real good at that. I respect her the way she is in her own skin. I do.
But I think it's funny that Kara said, I wasn't happy before and didn't realize it. I think that was true for a lot of people. And that's why you're seeing these, there were forced changes and then there's purposeful changes now. Like I was furloughed before, I'm deciding not to go back is how some people have, when we're talking about the job market. So I think
or to be a fast growing entrepreneurial woman, right?
Mm-hmm. Purposeful is the key word here. I think a lot of people are making decisions with purpose and not just making decisions because of circumstances.
That's a perfect recap. And I've divided that into 2 areas I'll speak to. Slide number 5, that's the list of stuff that is very soft skills, soft touch, things that work for me. And then I'm going to end up talking about if you're in a bad place, I'm going to consider this a resource list of what I researched to help me when I thought none of this was enough to pull me through. It got me into a condition where I could research the other things. And there's a lot of new modalities and treatments you haven't heard of that are really interesting And I'm going to cover that in a second because I think you're going to want to know, if not for yourself, but other people. So sharp left turn in the road. For those who have fell into the I've been miserable category like I was for a while, this is the time to lighten up, really not think that self-care is for other people who have the time, but I don't have the time because I'm too busy, because all that's ego. And to put my kayak in downriver. I can get faster where I want to go if I'm purposeful and deliberate and am reducing my tolerations. So the other half of the people in that group that day who have gone through this relatively unchanged, maybe it is time to look at your tolerations. If you went through all of that and you didn't have a major upset, that's awesome. But it also means maybe you're tolerating things that are holding your life down. When that was pointed out to me, honestly, Kara, that's when I made a huge change, that my tolerations were huge, and I was white knuckling it through my life. So that's the hint I'm getting. Your perspective. This is my marching orders for myself. Get out of town whenever I can. I need to change my point of view. I need to go to another town to eat dinner. I need to do something to mix it up, because I'm in home and I work from home and I live with my partner, who's my personal partner. And it's a lot, and it takes a lot of management. Change where you eat, read, shop, do whatever it takes to get a different perspective. Do it often enough that it makes a difference. Visualize what better days and a better diet and a better business can look like, and know that in some way, since everything's gone to hell, it's almost like this period feels like Christmas. Everybody knows nobody gets anything done in December. So it's almost like time you can actually indulge yourself, take care of yourself, shop from work. You get as much done as you possibly can be expected to, considering it's December. Reconnect with your flow. You like Seinfeld, you felt it in the flow. You may just not have been able to hold it. I feel the flow. The flow is my friend. I know the flow, but she's an elusive biatch. I cannot hold on to her. I get back with her by treating my creativity, and thus the art room that I was talking about. Whether you sing or dance or sew or bake or draw, it is time to consider that not a fun hobby that you may have time for, but a walking meditation that can heal your life. And that's now your job. That isn't some special thing that you do for yourself because you're spoiled. Meditate like your life depends on it, if that works for you. It worked for me. I have mantras that I've spent literally 24 hours saying, so I didn't just fly into little pieces. Practice yoga, breathe. You've heard it all before, but pick one you haven't done and do it for a week. Give me your 7 words in the morning and at night, and do one of your things. Pursue humor. Wherever or whoever you can find it, go out of your way to put yourself in circumstances where your body is laughing because you can't help it. And then that lets your mind know, because apparently the link is not, I get depressed and I feel terrible. It's I feel terrible. And then my brain checks in and says, hey, what's going on? And my heart's going, it's too much. I'm overwhelmed. I don't want to be here. This is too hard. And my brain goes, ah. So I would have thought it was head down. I've learned it's body up. It's your mind, body in your gut that's going to decide ultimately. And I'm going to get to what helps that. Complete 1 to 3 small tasks in your day. Doesn't matter what they are, but you'll feel like you conquered the world, like making your bed when you get up. That's a small psychological thing. I don't like to come home to an unmade bed. My mate just figures you're going to get back in it. No, the visual clutter is not okay. Scale back your obligations, temporarily at least. I would have one day of a lot of activity, and that may have involved taking my mother, who's 88, around to her 3-hour grocery store shopping place, and then 4 hours we were at a CVS, I think, for an hour and a half one day, just like shopping, a CVS. And those things make me nuts. I don't have any sense that I'm like in and out. I would do that, and the next day I would rest all day and read. I would prioritize painting in bed or anything that I had to go over report-wise, but I was out that day. I had no obligations to be an adult, to wear underwear, to go out in public, to do anything. I was home doing my thing. Reconnect with your tribe. Give up something to get deep and free rest, and I mean deep rest. But at the same time, on the slide, you see I have the girl vegging in front of the TV. That's because the TV has been my friend more than ever. It made me nervous to not have any background noise, and that's really helped companion me. Do you guys have music on when you're by yourself and feeling down?
All the time. I always have, and it drives my husband crazy sometimes, but I'll always have the TV on, I'll have the news on, or I'll have music on. I like background noise.
Me too.
But he likes peace, so we gotta, take turns.
Kara, I'm sorry. Did I interrupt you again, Chrissy? No. Kara will relate. Yeah, when you're done, it's okay to be done. Things change, people change, circumstances change. Never encouraging leaving a situation before you're absolutely sure. But what if that's your nudge? Why is it that you're so uncomfortable before you have to make a change? Because it's coming down, whether you want it to, know it's gonna, but you're getting that urge. Things are uncomfortable in your body, and that's when you get out of your poopy diaper. We would all sit in them and stay in our circumstances and not change anything if there wasn't something that made us just uncomfortable enough to start to get the hint that maybe the universe has something next for us, and this is the time to pursue it. Your role in making it better is to get clear what is and is not in your control. For me, that's pretty hard because I feel like I can make everything better. And know that this may be the one time in your life you can allow yourself to be self-centered. And as my therapist said, that really means centered on self. It doesn't mean you're selfish. It means you're centering on the person that is going to run the whole rest of the show. So skipping along, new treatment options. If you're somebody who's ever been diagnosed with PTSD, or you have friends, or you're listening to this and haven't spoken, and this has been really freaking hard and you don't know if you can make it. I can think of 2 ladies in our WPN circle who I hear from, and I can tell they're really, really sad and they're at the verge of giving up. They don't want to be contacted right now, but I'm not going to let it go too long without at least dropping things to them to remind them that you evaluate where you are at this point. Sadness and depression are 2 type of different runners, is how they explain it. Sadness is a sprint. It's circumstantial. A pet died. That's going to last a long time, but you're not going to be down and out and wrung out and your life can't go forward because you're in that kind of pain. But depression is an endurance runner. They are Forrest Gump going across the country. You're not going to get rid of them soon. In fact, to get a depression diagnosis, it has to be sadness for more than 2 weeks. Isn't that interesting? I've certainly had times where I was sad for more than 2 weeks, even if it was circumstantial. So do you know about some really cool stuff coming up? And this is wrapping up the presentation, but we all know there's short-term medications, antidepressants, anti-anxieties. I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying, don't forget that there's help out there for you. Those of you who would thrive in a support group, it would have to be a group of my girlfriends. I don't think I'd do well in a support group, but my girlfriends will always help heal me. If you need to get your medical marijuana card, I can tell you that everybody's in there because I got mine during the period of being the lowest. And they're like, oh, girl, please smoke something at the doctor's office, because I was sitting there crying and shaking and so overcome with my own drama. You don't see stoners in there. You see 50 and 60-year-old ladies and men in there who are holding their backs as they come in. It's so mainstream. It's so vanilla. If anybody thought that was a rebellious, touchy thing, and you see the audience, it's so not. It's all the grandmas. It's helped a great deal, and I have to remember to actually use it, but I have subliminal drops to get, not subliminal, that would be under my brain, under my tongue drops, and it just kind of takes the edge off panic or overwhelm. Cognitive behavioral therapy, y'all are familiar with that, but there's new stuff called rapid transformational therapy that I've been through. I went through 2 sessions so far. One was 5 hours. I cried the entire time. I almost couldn't see to drive. The next one was 4 hours. And that is why I can sit and talk to you today, along with some of the other things. It's made such a difference. It's a type of working with hypnosis, with your subconscious mind, telling you things. You repeat things in different voice modulations, and it breaks up this perseverative cycle between the judgments you make about things that happen. Because again, it's not what you look at, right? It's what you see. And this helps you not look at everything painted with the brush of this sucks and it's never going to be better. So I can send this link out, but check out Rapid Transformational Therapy. It's expensive. They do most of the talking. You don't talk very much, and it's different than any therapy you've ever been through. Very similar to rapid resolution therapy. That's another thing that branched off. It's in that same neighborhood, but like a street over. in terms of what they do. Then there's 2 new kinds of eye movement therapy. There's the old EMDR, now with free association. You can read it. Now, the final one is ketamine therapy. That scares my mother to death. It makes my mate very uncomfortable. But I really got to the point where my life is not living without my grandchild. And if I can't somehow find a different way to look at it, I can't stay here. It's just too hard. And again, feeling like I didn't have enough to offer. So I've actually looked into ketamine therapy, and it is incredibly widespread and used. And I know 3 people in Tallahassee who have done it. And you go and literally have a supervised injection. You go into a dissociative state, and it clears up depression like it's the new miracle thing. It's expensive. It's anywhere from $350 to $400 a treatment. They want you to have 6 treatments. A lot of people get away with less, but people are saying it must have been like when Francis Farmer got electroshock therapies, and that was the best they had to offer. And the way I found this is I literally went to a therapist friend and said, I want eternal sunshine of the spotless mind. I need you to cut out the parts that hurt because I got to keep going it and I can't. And she said, I've got one better. And looking into this, I have an appointment. I went through an hour with a therapist yesterday. She thinks it'll be a really light treatment, just something to bump off my feedback loop. But those are just some things that most people haven't heard about. I've been researching them. If you're not familiar with the RRT and the RTT, it may be something you're interested in hearing about. If you haven't gotten your medical marijuana license, I was terrified and felt shameful and judged and all that. I so don't feel that way now.
Well, that's good, because I think what you're alluding to, everybody should do their own homework, talk to their doctor.
I haven't gotten to my disclaimer, but you're right.
Yeah, do your disclaimer. You want to go ahead and do your disclaimer?
Yeah, this is just an example of what I've been through and what worked for me. The base that I came from was fairly well educated and somewhat sophisticated about therapy, because God knows I've studied enough, done it, did training for it for a while. I totally believe in it. I think that we all do the best we can through the filter we have, but sometimes we need somebody to interrupt our circuit. And I need circuit interruptions on getting moving again and feeling well enough to get out and live my life and get moving again. And so here are some things that in research I found that if you have any curiosity about them, or you have someone in your life that you feel like is in danger, there are resources out there that I wasn't aware of 2 years ago.
Yeah, and I think we have co-walking with Women Wednesdays, and there's someone named Princess, and she has a co-walking group on Monday morning. Cool. And she really wants to talk about and deal with mental health sort of stuff. And I think it is good to get with you, because you were sort of alluding to at the beginning, there's some people that have been through COVID. Some people are, it hasn't been such a struggle. But for other people, it has just been a monumental struggle. And I think you're saying for you, this has been a monumental struggle.
It has.
Getting through this pitch has been monumental. And I think what's really cool is that you're being vulnerable and sharing with others and saying you might be like me, that this past year or two has really been awful. It's impacted my life, my family life, my relationships, my own personal sense of well-being, all those things. And, this has been a real struggle for you. And I think it's important, it's important for me, who's just like, hoity ho, just going right along, to remember that, some people, this has really, been tough for. So I want to
mention, it's not a sympathy thing. It's isn't it different for different people doing different things? Mm-hmm. And if your friends can't talk to you about it because everybody's going around saying, oh, it's just been a little challenging, then nobody's going to get anywhere.
Right.
Well, I want to mention some comments that we have from people who are watching. So first of all, Robert Blackledge with Domi, he's watching. He has a really good comment in there. It's a big comment. So I'll defer to everyone to check out the comments right now about, it's an uplifting thing that he recognized during COVID. And then also I want to share this comment from Mandy. She says, I think COVID shattered the fallacy that everybody else is living a perfect life.
Thank you.
I personally have felt so much pressure lifted. I don't know if I'd say I was keeping up with the Joneses, but I have given myself a lot more grace during this time.
I love that, Mandy. And, this whole time I was sitting in private chat wondering why nobody was talking. Now I see it. Yeah, it's true. But you know what? It doesn't make it worse. It's not like, oh, I just found out so-and-so just went through a big depression. That's going to make people feel a little uncomfortable. But the fact that I'm here talking to you about it is I put myself through everything I can to get better so I could be around to talk about it. I'm not ashamed of it. And I think that it sucks. And I wish that I wasn't somebody who was prone to that or sensitive or intuitive or any of the matchup of things that make women really, really special stewards of relationships. But for those people who have been through it, I really wish they could say, yep, I'll check the box. That whole last couple of years sucked and I need a way out that's healthy and to reconnect to people. I'll mention one thing as we close out. I don't know who's ready for a business pivot. I'm on slide 8 that has Tyrion Lannister on the bottom, and he's talking about business pivots. I've certainly made a lot of business pivots. You guys want to talk about them? You have a free, no pressure, not trying to get the work consult to talk about pivoting your business specifically and what that can look like anytime that you want for anybody in Women Wednesdays. If you just want to talk it through. I've collected some really great ideas of what local and other businesses have done when the way they're doing it isn't working and they do something very clever. And the last thing I'll say to you is that if you guys know, does anybody work with Slack? I bet Chrissy does.
Yeah, I've used Slack before.
Yeah, right. So we're on Monday. But the story of Slack that I found so inspirational, especially while we're working on this major Kickstarter that's going in February, our big project that I've invested all our time and money into making this go. It's the biggest risk of our life, is that Slack was a game maker originally. They were very successful. They started to get all their funding. Everything was going really well. They were on the verge of blowing up. They hired people from other regions that came to work for their office. And then the guy lost his funding. It didn't go. And he had to go and crying on this interview on NPR. He's apologizing to the employees that he hired away from stable circumstances to take a chance on him, and he failed. One of the things that they did really well, Mandy, you'll like this too. One of the things they did really well at that organization was internally track how they communicated with teams and got things done. That tracking system is what is Slack now. So talk about your ultimate pivot. Their first thing didn't work, but the way they do business, the way they document, the way Barbara puts on a Women Wednesday, the way this is all set up, there is something for each one of you in what your circumstances are now and how you're doing it different that can pivot your business. I guarantee there's something there. And it's safe for finding it.
I was going to say too, anytime I hear the word pivot, for me, I always think of, and I always bring it up, but lean startup model. And I mean, I think that's one of the things, that's why I like lean startup model, because it freed me up, not only like in my business life, but also in my personal life, that when you're doing something and it's not working, it doesn't have to be viewed as a failure. It just can be viewed as an opportunity, that something just needs to go in a different direction. I just think pivoting is such a, just a key thing to, how you kind of transfer and move forward, maybe in a different direction.
It's kind of an overused word, but the whole message of this is, shit happened, and everybody's had a different way to deal with it. But the best revenge against nobody but the wet market, I guess, the best, coolest outcome would be, all right, well, this showed me where I was tolerating a lot of stuff that really is not useful in my life anymore. This showed me the things I was scared to lose and would miss the most. This showed me that I needed to reach out to people more, because if I heard next Tuesday that my other friend so-and-so died and I hadn't reached out to her, well, we can all spend time being regretful, but what if this time is pointing towards greater connection, deeper making the most of your life, giving you a huge upset to give you that nudge and flick you off the end of where you are into what you're going to be. And that's how I'm going to take this whole experience. And I will talk to anybody, anytime, about anything I can help them with. And I appreciate my audience. Thank you. And thank you, Barbara.
Well, thank you, Samuel. Thank everybody. Yeah. Thank you for being with us and sharing and being vulnerable and letting people know, hey, you're not the only one if you've been having a really tough time. And
and there are resources out, and there are people that want to hold hands with you and move out together. And women are especially talented at that. And you've got a perfect venue here. And I'm looking to get more involved. I miss my WPN women and my community. And part of being the best me is being more involved with stuff I care about, like the stuff that Barbara does. So,
well, and I think I mean, for me, I draw, it helps me to be with other people and to talk with other people and to be building and creating and doing things. And, you know, sometimes it's a good thing to have a distraction and stay busy and make some things
does it
happen.
spark any one of you to say, yeah, I can see this a little differently. I can look at, I mean, when this says on the last slide, honor the space between no longer and not yet, that's exactly where I am. Thank you, Kara.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, no, I need to be more thoughtful about what everybody is going through. That's what, like, my takeaway
Thank you,
from
Mandy.
this is that, you know, that this has been a tough area for people and people are trying to navigate it and, you know, figure out what's next. And
I don't know about you guys, but I'm a working dog. And so if somebody needs something and they tap me, I'm much better off than being left to languish.
Yes.
Don't let me languish.
We don't want you to languish.
And you know, I don't want to languish either. And what I appreciate is
sometimes languishing is fine.
Yeah, a little, right?
A little languishing.
But you know what I appreciate is the way that, Deanna, that you just call it out and say what it is and say we're more of us are there than you think. Because I think kind of just putting it out there is therapeutic all by in and of itself, so that you're not just kind of hiding behind a vague term of, like I said, challenging. You're saying this is what it is, and then you have the opportunity to kind of start thinking about moving forward, because you're not just kind of, you know, sitting in whatever that is, because you won't even let it out. You won't even say what it is and call it out and tell the people that care about you, this is what I'm dealing with, so that they can even support you in that moving forward.
Yeah, and they want to. I mean, you just check in with the group. If we were all girlfriends checking in, we do a strength assessment. How strong you feeling today, Barbara? I'm at about a 9, of course, because it's Barbara. And then you get to Deanna, and Deanna's like, I don't like the people today. I'm at about a 4. Can somebody else do this part and I'll do something else? I mean, it is what it is. It's a thing. And women can make these safe communities where they can work and get through these things without having to bare their souls maybe to the world, but to the people who can help facilitate and will understand without judgment. It's here. It's just whether or not you say it, whether you want to talk about it, it exists.
That's true. That's true. All right. Well, thank you, Deanna. Thank you for coming on and sharing and being such an amazing woman. And we love you and just really excited to keep collaborating and keep working together. So I just want to remind, so next week for Women Wednesdays, we're having our first in-person event. It's going to be the FSU, your little dog good. So it's going to be on the Jim Moran College at their location right downtown. And we'll be sending out some more information on that, but we look forward to have everybody visit with that. And don't forget to watch the Netflix series Unbelievable. So everybody have a great week. And
I think that's a good time to languish, is when you want to watch, like, binge on Netflix, right?
Yeah, do your languishing watching Unbelievable. Very good. All right. Well, everybody have a great week, and we'll see you next week.